Alrighty folks, I am messing around with my old CBR track bike today. It has developed a little bit of a timing chain clack, I think anyway, at startup. And then it's got a good whirring noise around maybe 3,000 or 4,000 RPM. And I believe the chain tensioner is the culprit. So I'm gonna try to fiddle with it and see if I can improve its action. Basically, you just have to remove this side fairing, and then there's a little rubber insulator here that you can just pull back this flap. It's easier, definitely easier to get to than some years and some other bikes. Sometimes they're behind a frame rail and just really annoying to get to. But what I may end up doing is just putting a manual tensioner in here, just to not ever have to worry about it, because this is a track bike, so it doesn't get ridden a ton versus a street bike, although the miles are a lot harder. But if you do want to try to give the new life to your tensioner, you just remove this little sealing bolt, and it's a good idea to replace this little, replace the sealing washer when you put it back. But basically there's a spring-loaded little piston in here, or whatever you want to call it, an arm, that's pushing on a, basically a guide. So this little spring-loaded thing is pushing on that and giving tension to the chain, the timing chain. So when these don't move properly, or sometimes you've got ratcheting styles also that kind of just automatically ratchet out and stay back, you know, the ratchet keeps it from moving back. Sometimes the ratcheting mechanism will get stuck, or this will get dirty inside, and then they won't move forward. Like as the chain gets looser over with wear, it'll start moving forward, and the guide will just sit there and not follow it like it's supposed to. So these are notorious for having problems. I don't know about the CBRs as much, but definitely like I know my ZX10 has a problem with those all the time. A lot of the Gixxers have problem with them. A lot of people just go to manuals because then you just never have to deal with it. But you can put a little dab of oil in there, kind of help free it up. When I first put this in, this thing was very sticky, it seemed like. I made a tiny little tool. There is a special tool here that can go in the end that you can buy from Honda. It'll actually turn out the little arm inside, and there's little notches here you can see that the tool will actually lock into, so it will prevent the arm from unscrewing and going forward for installation. So that's pretty nice to have. I'm not doing that, so I just made a little screwdriver here. I cut about 2/3 of the handle off, and then I ground away most of the material so it can fit in there, because it's pretty small, and there's also not a lot of room to get anything longer in here. So anyway, you have your special tool or your custom made little Mickey Mouse tool. So there's a flathead in there that's spring actuated, and if you turn it clockwise or rotate forward toward the camera, it'll tighten the spring and bring the arm up, and then you let it go and it should retract back against the guide. Mine, when I first put this in, it was like I turned it and it didn't seem like there was spring pressure on it. Like it seemed really gummy. Like it should be, like I messed with it now, you can see this little green mark. Watch as I rotate, even a little bit, it returns back. Let go, returns back immediately. It didn't do that in the beginning. So I'm hoping this might help, but basically just turn it. You can turn a little ways, like just a couple turns just to move it. It moves pretty quickly, and you can let go and it should spin back, and the spring should pull it back into place. The spring's not super strong, so if it gets kind of gummy in there, it won't do this. So I've got some oil in there already. I've been doing this a bunch of times already just to basically free up the action. And I'm just turning it like no more than about a couple turns, maybe, not even that, just to free it up in the zone where it's going to be moving. But it seems like it's a lot freer than it was when I started. So I don't know, this may help me out. If this thing refuses to work, or if it's getting hung up again later, it keeps making noise, I'll just pull the stupid thing out and I'll put a manual one in. So that is an option. You just have to watch out for those, because you do have to adjust those, I think typically around every 5,000 or 6,000 miles. So basically if it ever starts making a little bit of noise, you need to take a peek at it. I might just put this in temporarily and see. I'm gonna have to replace this washer to seal it because there is oil in there, but I'm just gonna snug it up and see if my noise is any better. Oh yeah, that's way better. It was clacking so bad yesterday when I started up, it was just like, and then it went away. You can hear the thing slapping. So yeah, it's still got that kind of whirring sound around 4,000 RPM. That could just be the chain being worn. It could be guides being worn. I mean, some of that could be normal because I do have this all exposed, like this little thing insulates sound. I don't have a fairing on, I don't have a helmet or earplugs on. But I may need to look into doing that. But the clacking on startup is definitely gone, so that's nice. And it seems to have improved the sound overall. But for me, I may look into this further. For you, that may be all you need to do. So, and it depends on the bike. Hope this helps someone out there.